In today's video I'll be showing you how to cover some photo frames with book pages. Now I have two different styles here that they've just progressed over the years. First one here has just been sealed with some washi tape. The second frame I have used the Decoupage paper. So this photo frame has quite a wide outer, and that's what you need to make this frame. These were just picked up in Poundland and I think they were £2 each, but they left like a residue on the back from the sticker, which was really annoying, so that's why I decided to cover the backs completely. So you want to choose a photo frame that does have quite a wide border. A frame with a narrow border doesn't work as well, and I have tried it. You just don't get the same effect, and you can't really even read a sentence or pick out the characters. So the first thing we need to do is just take out the glass panel and the back panel. And then what we need to do is cut some pages from the book. So when I'm picking pages and paragraphs, I like to find the ones that are fully justified to either edge of the page. So as you can see, this block of text that I've cut from the book is all full lines. There's no blank spaces on the lines. And this one here, I'm just going to cut off the line that has a blank space because it doesn't look so good on the photo frame. And believe you me, I have tried. So we've got a really nice long paragraph on this page. But that's too long to use. You can have too many lines on a page. If you have too many lines on each section that you're sticking down, you can end up with ripples. So I would probably cut that in half. So we have two smaller blocks of text to use on the frame. So just continue cutting several pieces of the book pages. And you want enough so that you can cover the frame. So I'll loosely lay them out on top of the frame, and you want to have a little bit of overhang on the sides and at the top of the frame as well. And once you're happy that you've got enough pieces cut, we can start sticking them down. So I'll use some high-tack glue. Now you might be surprised that I'm not using Mod Podge at this stage. But what I find with Mod Podge is that it causes ripples with the book pages. And yes, I have tried that in the past as well. But I will use Mod Podge to seal it at the end. So the very first piece that we put on the frame, we're going to fold the paper between the first and the second line on the page. We want this to be nice and straight because it's going to be our template for putting on the rest of the book pages. So as you can see, it just lines up nicely. So what we want to do now is use some of the high-tack glue and just spread it over the left-hand portion of the photo frame. Make sure you've got some good coverage and that you haven't left any gaps. And then we will line up our first piece of book page with an overhang of about 1 centimetre on the left hand side, and press down really firmly. Now we're only putting glue on the front of the frame at this stage, so don't worry about the overhang at the top. Once that's all firmly pressed into place, we'll do exactly the same with the second piece of book page, and we want to line it up and fold down the first line, and before we start gluing we just want to check that the text all lines up nicely. And once you're happy with that, again just liberally spread on the high-tack glue all over the right hand side upper part of the frame. And then press your piece of book page firmly into place. Now there'll be a little bit of overhang, hopefully, and so yeah, I just put a little bit of extra high-tack glue on the outer edge, a few millimetres of the first piece of book page that we've placed down, just so it doesn't snag up. So basically we just want to add the rest of the book pages down the side panels, ensuring there is some overhang to match the pieces that are already on there. So for these last pieces that we're putting on, make sure the text is nicely aligned and make sure that we've got some overhang on the bottom as well that we can fold. So if you're putting on a piece that hasn't got enough lines to fold over at the bottom, do hunt out a slightly larger paragraph. So once that's done, we can turn the frame over and we want to apply some high-tack glue to the upper edge of the frame. And all we're going to do is firmly press over the edges of the page. Now if you're using a high-tack glue, this will stay there really well. A PVA glue won't be so great. And I do the same on the lower edge as well. Press it down nice and firmly. So for the sides, what I will do is I will just snip along the line that we want to tuck in. It's a little bit like wrapping a present at this stage. So you'll see that I've just snipped the corners down to the edge of the frame, and I'll fold these down from the top on the side and on the bottom. Now it's quite simple. What we need to do is the same for the sides of the frame. Do ensure that you're getting the glue right down to the base of the frame. And what we want to do is just press upwards. Now we're going to have a bit of overhang. Excuse the camera wobble where my table moves, where I'm pressing firmly. And we just simply need to fold that over with some glue as well. So continue this process down both sides of the photo frame. So for this part you can use a craft knife, but I'm going to use scissors because not everybody has craft knives in their home. I'm going to cut off any excess paper, but we want enough paper so that it will fold round to the underside of the frame. So I just press it along and run my fingers along the edge, and then it kind of gives me a guideline of where to cut. So once all the edges have been cut, apply some high-tack glue all around the inside of the photo frame. And simply, very firmly, press each of the pieces of paper into place. I sometimes find this bit is quite fiddly, and so what I would do is I would use my paintbrush to firmly press the paper in place. I should have taken these off at the start, but using a screwdriver you can usually undo the latches that hold the back of the frame in place. So I have a selection of papers left over that I'm going to use up today. What I want to do is find the edges, the very straight edges. Now if you haven't got a straight edge on your leftover pieces of paper, then do use a guillotine or a ruler and a craft knife to cut a straight edge. Because these straight edges are going around the outside of the photo frame, we want these to be perfectly straight. So cut off enough paper with a straight edge so that it will go all the way around the outside of your photo frame. For this stage I will use the Mod Podge because that is designed to work very well with these rice papers, and I'll just put a good layer of Mod Podge all along the top edge of the frame. And then we want to line up our rice paper so that it sits just along the edge of the text. And for the sides, you want to try and keep the same width around the frame. I'm just trimming the corner to make it easier to fold in. And I'll simply just use the Mod Podge to attach it to the back of the frame. And I'll fold over the sides. Again, it's like wrapping a present. So simply continue this process all the way around the edge of the frame. And then the process is just filling in any of the gaps using strips of the rice paper and giving it a good covering. And then very simply put it to one side to dry. Once it is dry, we can reattach the screws and the latches. And then the very last stage is to seal the front of the frame with some Mod Podge. Just liberally spread the Mod Podge all over the front of the frame, and you can put on 1 or 2 or even 3 coats of Mod Podge, and you can choose a gloss finish or a matte finish. I prefer the matte finish myself, but what it does mean is that you can very easily wipe these clean and any dust that might collect, because you know dust collects in a house, doesn't it? And then that's it, that is your photo frame finished. If you've got any questions at all or any suggestions on how to improve this process, do put them in the comments below. I'd be very happy to hear from you if you've given this a go, if you've made it yourself. And you can send me your photos via Instagram. So thank you for watching, and do subscribe if you'd like to see more literary inspired crafts in the future.